Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to a new episode of Chatting with Lady C. Hello Mum, how are you?
I'm all right, thank you, honey. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Oh, good.
Had a good weekend. I went axe throwing.
Axe throwing?
Very fun.
Really?
Very fun. But I do recommend if you go, stretch. Stretch. I swear to God, I pulled the muscle, my thigh muscle. So for the 3 days after I can walk.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
dear.
I do stretch. I do recommend.
Okay, well, I'm sure Catherine Howard and Mary Queen of Scots wouldn't like to hear that you'd been axe throwing.
It's interesting, it's fun, it's great.
It is.
Yeah, it really is.
Okay.
Well, it's actually very easy as well.
Is it?
Very easy. I got it on the first go.
Really?
Well, they teach you, of course.
Yeah.
And how they teach you, like, it was perfect. They're great instructors, to be honest. And it's in Vauxhall. We did our one in Vauxhall, so just around the corner from the house.
Really?
So very nice.
Lovely.
Yeah, just to walk away.
Lovely. Lovely.
But annoying with all the building going on around there.
Yeah.
Because they built it on, those little, onto the train
arches,
track. Yes.
under the arches.
Yeah,
yes.
and they built it in there, and they're redoing around that area, around Vauxhall Bridge.
Yes.
And all that. And it's right there, the entrance, but they're redoing that building, so you have to go all the way around the construction site. Just so annoying. But yes.
Okay, well, interesting, honey. I'm glad you had a good time.
Thank you.
Do you have any exciting questions for me today?
Yes, I do.
You do. Good.
So for today's questions, the first one is from Christy Richards. Lady C, what do you think of the Woke Award ceremony Meghan and Harry are going to do?
Well, to take it seriously, if they manage to get this off the ground in a positive way, they can be quite successful with it. Otherwise, it's going to just be a damp squib. A lot depends on how successful Meghan and Harry are in America. Their woke awards are going to go down like a lead balloon in this country. In America, if they manage to build themselves a bigger profile than they have, it's possible that they may achieve a measure of success. But I would have thought that the likelihood is that, I understand most Americans don't care who the Duke and Duchess of Sussex are. Some don't even know who the Duke and Duchess of Sussex are. Well, they certainly didn't know who Meghan Markle was before she became Duchess of Sussex. Are they of sufficient note and merit that any award they create is going to end up being something of great that's going to end up being anything prestigious? It depends how successful they are. Of their present track record, I would have said it doesn't look very promising. Having said that, the Coty Awards, and Coty was a very famous American cosmetics company after the war. And they created the Coty Awards, and if I remember correctly, Eleanor Lambert headed up the best dressed list, the 10 best dressed women in the world. And that was tremendously successful. But that was in a day when, fashion is still a big deal, but in those days there were very few awards. Now there are endless awards. Also, Coty was a huge name. The Sussexes aren't a huge name. And let's see what happens. Maybe let's see if after the third award ceremony there's going to be a fourth. So, honey, next question.
Sure. So for our next question today is from Flavio Souza. Lady C, what's your opinion on the Markles' financial situation? If the Netflix deal flops, Can they keep a $14.7 million mansion, or are they going to be bankrupt?
Well, I don't think they're ever going to be bankrupted, let me put it that way. Uh, I know all members of Meghan Markle's family except her have been bankrupt. And I gather in California, it's almost a done thing. You get into a bit of financial difficulty, you go bankrupt. You know, it's so certainly where she's concerned, her family has form. It would be inconceivable for a member of the British royal family to be bankrupted. It would be just so déclassé. Uh, if the Netflix deal flops, which it could, I mean, it equally maybe won't, but it could, uh, I think they just quietly drift off into doing something else, or maybe not so quietly, or who knows. Maybe Meghan will reach out to Jeff Bezos. And maybe he'll save the day for her. Who knows? Who knows? Next question. Well, what do you think?
Oh, well, like you said, they would never go bankrupt just because of their family situation.
Mm.
Well, on his side, not on her side.
Mm.
So, yeah, they would always have a little bit of cash somewhere, and maybe if they lost a lot of money, could find a way of, with the little bit amount they have, to make again a little bit more.
I don't see them going homeless.
No.
And I should think, though, if a divorce were looming, you might find that Harry's trustees would go to great lengths to protect his capital assets. Let's put it that way. But then Meghan has a great capital asset. She's got herself. And so she's spun it so far. And that's not to be discounted as a gift or an ability, you know, because she is to a large extent her own creation. And we need to remember that she's a very resourceful individual. Problem is, as she has become more and more well known, the paddling underneath the water that the swan does has become more and more self-evident. So she doesn't really look like a swan anymore. She looks like a duckling. But she's not to be underestimated, I would say. So next question.
Nice. So for our next question is from A. I don't know if Lady C will see this question, but perhaps another person could also answer this. Lady C stated that only males hold the Royal Wales title, with the change to the order of succession in 2013. What title would a firstborn daughter of Prince George hold? Just a curious American.
That's a really good question. The title of Prince of Wales is reserved exclusively for the male heir to the throne. Princess Elizabeth, the present Queen, when she was Princess Elizabeth, she could not be made Princess of Wales because she was not male. The title was created by Edward III for his son, the Black Prince. Since when successive heirs to the throne have been made Prince of Wales, you have to be made the Prince of Wales. You aren't born to it. It's not something that you inherit by birth or by right. The sovereign's male heir is the Duke of Cornwall. As soon as a king or queen accedes to the throne, his or her eldest son becomes Duke of Cornwall, he then has to be created Prince of Wales. In theory, if you stop to think of it, now that they have ironed out this gender anomaly with the succession to the British throne, there is really no reason why, with a bit of minor tweaking, that any female child of Prince George who was going to become queen in her own right could not be created Princess of Wales first. I'm sure with a bit of a will it could be done. Very interesting question. Do you think it's an interesting question?
Yes, I do.
And trust an American to come up with it. Isn't that good?
Yes.
I mean, the Americans really do come up with the most amazing questions, don't they? Not that we're putting down our Brits, because we're not, but we're just admiring our Yankee brothers and sisters. Okay, next question, honey.
So for our next question today is from Kin Finley. Lady C, why wasn't Queen Elizabeth made Princess of Wales when her father ascended to the throne?
Oh, well, of course, I've just answered it, haven't I?
On that bit, yes, but then there's another one after.
Okay.
Did it have something to do with timing and the war?
No, it had nothing to do with timing and the war.
Or was it because she was female?
It's entirely because she was female.
Why is the Prince of Wales such an important position? Would you be able to tell us more of the history?
Well, I think I've just answered it more or less, haven't I?
Yes. Similar question.
Yeah. So,
Just broken up a bit.
yes. Because by answering the other one in the way I did, I've answered this one as well.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. It was created so that the heir to the throne would have, well, because the last Prince of Wales who was conquered, who was Welsh, once he died, Edward III made his son the Black Prince, Prince of Wales, and created the Duchy of Cornwall, which of course makes him the Duke of Cornwall as well. Mm-hmm. But as I just said 2 minutes ago, the title Prince of Wales has to be given by the monarch to the heir, male heir. If he's not given it, he would not be Prince of Wales.
How does he get given it? Does he have to do something special?
No, he just has to be there.
Okay.
And they normally are given it.
So for our next question is from Pat Cirisaro. Lord Andrew Lloyd Webber has confirmed that Princess Diana's private performance on stage at the Phantom of the Opera, as seen in The Crown, actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
Have you perhaps brushed shoulders with Lord Andrew and attended any of his shows? The theatre fans around the world would love to know. Thank you for your resplendent videos, milady.
Thank you very much for that compliment. May I make the point that he is Lord Lloyd Webber, not Lord Andrew. He's not the son of a marquis or a duke. He is a life peer in his own right, so he is Lord Lloyd Webber. If he had been the son of a duke or a marquis, he would have been, and not the eldest son either, he'd have been Lord Andrew Lloyd Webber. Just make that distinction. Funnily enough, I used to be his neighbour from 1977 to about 1986. We were neighbours. I lived at number 10 West Eaton Place, and he, with his first Sarah wife, he had two wives called Sarah, the first Sarah and the second Sarah, who was Sarah Brightman, she came after. But when we were neighbours, he was married to Sarah number one. And so we used to nod at each other in the street whenever we saw each other. He was perfectly neighbourly.
Mhm.
I mean, you know what it's like in London.
Yes.
You know, you see someone, you say hello, or you just nod, but it's cursory. There's no real interaction. There was actually a funny incident that happened shortly before I left. Mrs. Clawson, our housekeeper, was great friends with their housekeeper. And one day I had to go down to Mrs. Clawson for something, I don't remember what, and her friend, the Lloyd Webber's housekeeper, was there. So Mrs. Clawson introduced us, and I said hello, and I don't remember what the interaction was now, but you know I like people, and I'm very happy to meet people, and if they're nice, I enjoy the interchange.
Yes.
And afterwards, Mrs. Clawson said to me, she said, "Well, Lady Colin, I have to tell you," it's very naughty of her. She said, whatever the housekeeper's name was, said, "Oh, you're so lucky to be working for a real lady, not like those jumped up Lloyd Webbers who treat me as if I'm trash." And then she told Mrs. Clawson the most amazingly intimate story about Andrew Lloyd Webber, which I'm afraid I cannot repeat. It was so appalling. But just goes to show it's helpful if your staff likes you. And the next time I saw him walking down the street, I thought, wow, I see exactly what she means. But I understand from many people who know him that he's actually a perfectly charming person. I also know that the Carnarvons cannot stand him because he bought, after he married the third wife, Madeleine, who is perfectly pleasant, he tried to buy Highclere Castle from them and made them an insulting offer along the lines of, "Oh, well, you know, you're broken down aristocrats with no money, and I'm the great Andrew Lloyd Webber, and I can restore your castle, and you don't need to worry about it falling down around your ears. So how about it?" They absolutely were furious and absolutely could not stand him and didn't have a good word to say about him for many years. And then, of course, Downton started to be filmed there, and that solved all their financial problems.
That's great.
So maybe the housekeeper was onto something, but my personal interaction with him was very limited, very minimal, just neighbourly acknowledgements of the most cursory kind. So
That's nice. You also haven't mentioned if you've seen any of his shows.
Oh, sorry, I was asked that. I forgot that. Yes, the form 30 years ago was that all of these shows would have charity nights, which would be just before the first night, like the pre-first night or the pre-first night. And some of my charities benefited from some of those shows. For instance, I was at the first night of Evita, which was great. I didn't want to go to the first night of Cats. I've never seen Cats. It just didn't appeal to me. I know that the movie bombed in the worst way.
Oh, the movie was terrible.
So everybody says.
I was in the theatre, like, a lot of people walked out. I was shocked. I've never seen anybody walk out of the cinema before.
Well, I didn't go to the stage production and I didn't want to go to the film either. It didn't appeal to me.
Stage one was good. I saw it on the TV once and it was a lot better.
I went to the premiere of Phantom of the Opera, which I thought was absolutely wonderful. I thought the man is a genius theatrically. I don't think he's a genius musically. I don't think his music is up to the first standard of a great composer. But he's definitely got something musically, and he's a genius, I think, theatrically. Because Phantom of the Opera was just absolutely brilliant, and Evita was not genius, but it was very catching, let's put it that way. So yeah, I've seen many of his shows, but not Cats. And I'm never gonna see Cats either. So, any more questions, honey?
Yes, we've got our last one for today, and it is from M. Corbett. I have heard several times that Meghan convinced Harry that they should look into his mother's death and the circumstances surrounding it once they got married. I have also heard Harry mutter a couple of times on video that if you knew what I know with regards to his mother, and leaves it there. I have read your books and know that this matter has been fully investigated. Have you heard anything about what I have just described? Do you think she has him convinced of some plot by a member of the royal family to kill his mother? It would certainly explain his behaviour with regard to his turning on his family as he has. It would also explain how she was so easily able to convince him to leave everything and everyone he has ever known.
Whoa! What do you think of that question?
Long.
Huh?
It's a good one. Quite
Whoa!
long, but a good one. Doing her research.
Well.
Got the microphone in one ear. I can hear that muttering.
Yes, well, I need to answer this very carefully for legal reasons, because if I did not answer it very carefully, we could find ourselves in a great deal of hot water. You know, women like Meghan achieve ascendancy over their men by playing to their weaknesses rather to their strengths. But convincing the man that they are playing to their strengths and that they are absolutely and supremely necessary to the man, and that they are providing him with a path to the light that otherwise would not exist. There's nothing unique about a modus operandi of that kind. There is no doubt that Harry has never grasped the realities of his mother's death or worked through them or their consequences. And both Harry and Meghan are very into controlling their public image, and she is into controlling all aspects of her life. And I would be very surprised if the only undermining she has done, let me put it that way, has been in terms of boosting him while denigrating everybody else and, setting him up as her protector against this beastly world that's after their sweet Meghan. I don't want to answer it more particularly than that, because I can foresee that there would be legal problems. Because one needs to be careful in certain situations how much one says. Sometimes it's better to leave things unsaid, because silence is golden, and you cannot get into trouble by being silent. You can only get into trouble by articulating things that could cause people to take advantage of any legal uncertainties that your comments might create. So, do you think I've made myself clear?
Yes, well, you can't say too much, so what you can say is the best, right?
But do you think I've made my position clear?
Yes.
I would say that certainly Meghan, in her comments, has been very denigratory of the royal family. She has been quite disrespectful of various members of the royal family in little comments. And if these are the things she has said publicly to boost herself and denigrate them, one can only need to think about what she would be saying privately to know that. And this is a woman who clearly utilizes every advantage she possesses and takes full advantage of every opportunity that presents itself or that she can create. So, more than that, I think I will not say, but I will say I think it is a fascinating question. I think it is a very astute question to have asked, and there's no doubt that Harry still has a lot of working through to do with the realities of his mother's death. And there are very few, if any, mysteries as to how his mother died. So
yeah, because I would say people are still trying to figure it out.
Yes, they are. They are.
They really are. I had a discussion with somebody this weekend about this exact question.
Really?
Yeah, it's really funny. It's come up. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people see conspiracies where none exist,
Yes.
but also a lot of people don't see.
When it's there.
Yes, Iago was able to drip poison in Othello's ear and cause Desdemona's death by dripping poison, all fabrications. So it works both ways. But insofar as I'm concerned, where Diana's death is concerned, there's absolutely no mystery. I am completely confident that I know how she died and why she died. And I would actually go as far as saying I would stake, if not my life, certainly a great deal of things that mattered to me, like my reputation, because I've been very, very categoric about what my investigations have turned up. and I don't dodge the bullet, and I don't avoid responsibility for what I think the evidence suggests. And again, if people don't wish to examine things carefully and just, want to buy the fiction, let them. I mean, it's up to them. And on that note, my dear, I think I should say thank you very much for listening. Please keep the questions coming in. And our next video is going to be on another episode of The Crown.
Well, thank you everybody, and we hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, please hit the like button, subscribe and share with your friends. Thank you very much and goodbye.